That healthy salad you're making to protect your heart could be doing the exact opposite. In fact, for millions of Americans over 60 on common heart medication, a sudden health kick with certain leafy greens can dangerously disrupt your body's delicate balance and significantly increase your risk of a catastrophic event. It sounds unbelievable, but the science is clear. Over the next few minutes, we're going to count down the 9 so-called healthy vegetables that could be silently sabotaging your stroke prevention plan. And you absolutely need to stay with me, because the vegetable at number 1 on our list is something over 70% of Americans have in their pantry right now, believing it's a cornerstone of a healthy diet. New research shows a single serving can contain more sodium than the ideal daily limit for an adult with high blood pressure. And I'll show you exactly how that puts your blood vessels under immense, dangerous strain. For those of us over 60, this isn't about trendy diets or losing a few pounds. This is about protecting our independence, our cognitive function, and our ability to live a full, vibrant life without the shadow of a stroke looming over us. What you don't know about these specific foods can have permanent consequences. And this isn't speculation. A recent global study involving nearly 27,000 people found that a common, healthy beverage, often made from vegetables, was linked to a staggering 37% increased risk of stroke. We'll reveal exactly what it is at number 8. Hello and welcome. I'm your guide on this journey to better health, and my goal today is simple: to give you the clear, science-backed information you need to confidently navigate the grocery store and protect your long-term health. We're in this together, and my promise to you is to make this complex topic understandable and, most importantly, actionable. Before we dive in, a quick and important reminder. This video is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health regimen, especially if you're on medication. Now, we're about to start our countdown from number 9 down to the single most deceptive health food in your kitchen. For each one, I'll share a quick story to make it real. Break down the science in simple terms so you understand the why, and most importantly, give you a practical, easy solution. Let's begin. Coming in at number 9 on our list is a staple of the American diet: the white potato, especially when it's prepared in its most popular form, fried. Let's meet Robert, a 72-year-old retired mechanic. He's a man of routine, and for years, his weekly cheat has been fish and chips. He figures the fish is good for his heart and a potato is a vegetable, so it can't be all that bad, right? But lately, he's been struggling. His doctor has been warning him about his blood sugar numbers creeping up, edging him closer to a type 2 diabetes diagnosis, which his doctor explained is a major risk factor for stroke. Robert feels frustrated because he thinks he's making a reasonable choice, but he's missing a critical piece of the puzzle. The problem isn't the potato itself, which does contain beneficial nutrients like potassium. The danger lies in how it's prepared and how our bodies process it. When a potato is fried, as in French fries or chips, it becomes a food with a very high glycemic load. Think of glycemic load as a measure of how much a food will raise a person's blood glucose level after eating it. High glycemic load foods cause a rapid, dramatic spike in blood sugar. Your body responds by releasing a flood of insulin to manage this sugar rush. When this happens over and over again, week after week, your body's cells can start to become resistant to insulin's effects. This is the pathway to insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, and eventually type 2 diabetes. The link to stroke risk here is direct and well documented. A large meta-analysis that pooled data from 15 different studies, covering over 438,000 people, found that a high dietary glycemic load was associated with a 19% increased risk of stroke. Another powerful meta-analysis specifically looked at potato consumption and found that for every increment of 3 weekly servings of French fries, the risk for developing type 2 diabetes increased by 20%. This creates a dangerous feedback loop. The fries increase the diabetes risk, and the diabetes in turn dramatically increases the stroke risk. The scientific pathway is becoming clearer. Researchers now use a marker called the triglyceride glucose index, or TIG index, as a reliable indicator of insulin resistance. So for Robert, the chain of events is clear. His weekly fried potato habit contributes to a high glycemic load, which drives up his insulin resistance over time. And that underlying condition is what puts his cardiovascular system and his brain in jeopardy. But here's the empowering part. The solution for Robert isn't about deprivation. It's about preparation. He doesn't need to banish potatoes from his life. He simply needs to change how he cooks them. Swapping the deep fryer for the oven transforms the potato. A big potato, skin on for extra fiber, has a lower glycemic impact. An even better choice would be a sweet potato, which is packed with nutrients and has a naturally lower glycemic index. That same study on diabetes risk offered a powerful alternative. Replacing just 3 servings of fries per week with whole grains was estimated to lower the risk of developing type 2 diabetes by a remarkable 19%. It's a simple swap that can change the entire trajectory of his health. At number 8, we have something that many people turn to in an effort to be healthier, especially if they don't enjoy eating whole vegetables. Store-bought vegetable and fruit juices. Let's talk about Brenda. She's 68 and she's always struggled to get her 5 a day. So she came up with what she thought was a brilliant solution. Every morning, she starts her day with a large glass of bottled green juice from the supermarket. It has kale, spinach, and apple in it. She feels virtuous, like she's drinking her salad and getting all those vitamins in one easy go. She has no idea that this daily habit, born from the best intentions, could be one of the biggest risks in her diet. This is where we return to that shocking statistic from the beginning of our video. A massive global study, the Interstroke Project, which analyzed data from nearly 27,000 people across 27 countries, delivered a stunning finding. They discovered that drinking up to 1 fruit juice or fruit drink per day was linked to a 37% increased risk of stroke. For those who drank 2 or more a day, the risk didn't just double, it tripled. The researchers were careful to point out why this might be. Many products that are marketed as fruit juice or vegetable juice are made from concentrates. During this process, they often have added sugars, sweeteners, and preservatives. But even with 100% juice, there's a fundamental problem. When you juice a fruit or a vegetable, you extract the liquid and discard the pulp. That pulp is where most of the fiber is. Fiber is nature's braking system. In a whole apple, the fiber slows down the absorption of the fruit's natural sugars, leading to a gentle, manageable rise in blood sugar. When you drink a glass of apple juice, you're consuming the sugar of several apples all at once, with no fiber to slow it down. While a mountain of evidence shows that eating whole fruits and vegetables is protective against stroke, one meta-analysis found that each additional daily portion of fruit and vegetables was associated with a 5% decreased risk. For Brenda, the solution is beautifully simple. She needs to eat her vegetables, not drink them. If she truly wants the convenience of a drink, a smoothie is a far superior option. By blending the whole fruit or vegetable, she keeps all the beneficial fiber intact. This turns it from a high glycemic load drink back into a whole food in liquid form. Or she could follow the advice of the lead researcher from that very study who encouraged people to consider switching to water instead. Brenda's desire for health is the right instinct. She just needs to redirect it from the juice aisle to the produce section. Our countdown continues at number 7 with a category of foods that many people see as a harmless, crunchy snack or a tangy side dish. Pickled vegetables. Consider George, 75. He has been managing high blood pressure for a decade. He's diligent. He avoids adding salt at the table. He reads labels on some things. But he has a blind spot. He loves a big, crunchy dill pickle with his lunchtime sandwich. In his mind, it's just a cucumber, a healthy vegetable. He doesn't realize that this small daily snack is a sodium bomb that is actively working against his medication and his efforts to control his blood pressure. The numbers here are truly staggering. The American Heart Association recommends that adults with hypertension should ideally consume no more than 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day. Now consider this. Just one large dill pickle can contain more than 2/3 of that entire daily limit. The mechanism by which this harms the body is simple but powerful. As the American Heart Association explains it, excess sodium in your bloodstream acts like a magnet for water, pulling fluid into your blood vessels. This increases the total volume of blood inside them. Imagine turning up the water supply to a garden hose. The pressure inside the hose increases dramatically. That's exactly what's happening inside your arteries. This increased volume makes your heart work harder to pump. And the constant high pressure strains and damages the delicate walls of your blood vessels over time. This relentless pressure is a primary driver of stroke. Now, there's a nuance here that can be confusing. Foods like sauerkraut and kimchi are fermented, and we're hearing a lot about the benefits of fermented foods for gut health. This creates a health halo around these foods. But we must not forget how they are made. Traditional fermentation and pickling processes use massive amounts of salt as a preservative. For a senior who already has high blood pressure, the direct, immediate, and proven risk from such a large sodium load likely outweighs any potential long-term benefit from the probiotics. The risk-benefit calculation is simply different for this specific group. The advice for George is clear. He needs to start seeing that pickle not as a vegetable, but as a high-sodium condiment, to be used as sparingly as he would use salt from a shaker. He should actively look for low-sodium versions in the grocery store, or better yet, get that satisfying crunch from fresh cucumber slices on his sandwich. Next, at number 6 and 5, we have a 2-for-1 that occupies a huge space in American pantries. Common canned vegetables like corn, peas, and green beans. Picture Eleanor, who is 80 years old and living on a fixed income. For her, canned vegetables are a lifeline. They're affordable, they have a long shelf life, and they're incredibly convenient. She uses canned green beans and corn to bulk up her stews and as easy side dishes for her meals, feeling confident that she's getting her daily servings of vegetables in. What she's tragically unaware of is the hidden load of sodium she's consuming with every spoonful. The canning process is all about preservation, and for centuries, salt has been the preservative of choice. The vast majority of sodium in the American diet doesn't come from the salt shaker. It comes from processed and packaged foods, with canned goods being a prime culprit. Research has shown that a single meal prepared from these convenient processed sources can contain nearly the entire 1,500 milligram daily recommended amount of sodium for people over the age of 51. The real danger here isn't just a single can of corn. It's the way these items are combined, creating a sodium stacking effect in a single meal. Think about a typical easy dinner for someone like Eleanor. She might start with a canned soup as a base, which is already high in sodium. Then, she adds a can of vegetables to make it heartier, unknowingly adding another layer of sodium. Without realizing it, she has created a perfect storm for her blood pressure, a meal that pushes her well over her daily limit and puts immense strain on her cardiovascular system. But here is the wonderful news. This is one of the easiest problems to fix, and the solution costs absolutely nothing. For Eleanor, and for all of us, the most powerful tool is the faucet. Both the Mayo Clinic and the National Institutes of Health confirm that simply opening a can of vegetables, pouring them into a colander, and rinsing them thoroughly under running water can wash away a significant amount of the sodium. An even better strategy at the grocery store is to actively seek out the versions labeled "no salt added." And don't forget the freezer aisle. Frozen vegetables are typically flash frozen at peak ripeness with no added salt, making them a fantastic, low-sodium, and equally affordable alternative to canned. Now we arrive at number 4, and this is where the conversation gets much more nuanced. Here, we're talking about incredibly healthy vegetables, broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Let's meet Frank. He's 78, and he lives with atrial fibrillation, a condition that causes an irregular heartbeat and increases the risk of blood clots and stroke. To manage this, his doctor has prescribed him the blood thinner Warfarin. Frank's daughter, who lives nearby, is devoted to helping him stay healthy. She reads an article about the benefits of cruciferous vegetables and decides to take action. She starts making him large, beautiful broccoli salads every day. A week into this new health regimen, Frank goes for his routine blood test, a check of his INR, which measures how long it takes his blood to clot. The results come back, and they are dangerously out of range. Here's what happened. The story of warfarin and these vegetables is a delicate balancing act. These foods are not bad. In fact, for most people, they are fantastic, but they are very high in vitamin K. Vitamin K plays an essential role in the body's natural blood clotting process. The medication warfarin works by actively inhibiting the action of vitamin K to slow down clotting and prevent dangerous clots from forming in people like Frank. The problem arises not from eating vitamin K, but from a sudden, dramatic change in the amount you eat. When Frank's daughter suddenly introduced a large daily dose of high vitamin K broccoli into his diet, it was like throwing a wrench into a finely tuned machine. The surge of vitamin K overwhelmed the medication, effectively canceling out its blood-thinning effect and making it less effective. This is a surprisingly common scenario, born from the best of intentions. The real danger here is inconsistency. The goal for anyone on warfarin is not to eliminate these healthy foods, but to maintain a stable and consistent intake from week to week. For Frank and his daughter, the solution is teamwork and communication with his healthcare provider. They need to establish a consistent pattern. If he normally eats broccoli once a week, he should continue to eat it once a week. A food diary can be a lifesaver, helping to track intake and ensure stability. This isn't about avoiding healthy vegetables. It's about managing a powerful medication safely and effectively, and that requires predictability. We are more than halfway through, and you're already armed with information that can genuinely protect you and your loved ones. This knowledge transforms fear into power. If you're finding this deep dive valuable, please take just a moment to click that like button below and subscribe to the channel. It's a small click for you, but it helps our community grow and allows us to reach more people who desperately need this clear, science-backed information. Now, let's get to the top 3. These are the ones that are most often mistaken for pure health foods. And the one at the very top of our list is what I consider the ultimate betrayal in the grocery aisle. We've now reached the top 3, and at numbers 3 and 2, we have the undisputed kings of the superfood world, kale and spinach. But for the same reason we just discussed with broccoli, for a specific group of seniors, their very potency is what makes them a risk that must be managed with extreme care. This brings us to Mary, 69, who, like Frank, is on warfarin to manage her risk of stroke. Mary's proactive about her health. She reads a lifestyle magazine article that raves about the anti-aging, detoxifying powers of kale and spinach. Inspired, she buys a new blender and starts her day every day with a large green smoothie packed with a huge handful of raw spinach and kale. At first, She feels fantastic, vibrant, and full of energy. But after a couple of weeks, she starts to notice a strange fluttering in her chest. She dismisses it as just anxiety or too much coffee. In reality, it was her body's warning sign. Her new healthy habit had thrown her system out of balance. Her blood was becoming too thick, and she was putting herself at imminent risk of a stroke. Kale and spinach are the heavyweights of vitamin K. They contain significantly more of it than almost any other common food. While this is wonderful for bone health and general nutrition, for someone on warfarin, they represent the single biggest challenge to maintaining a stable INR, the International Normalized Ratio that measures blood clotting time. An unstable INR, either too high or too low, is the direct pathway to danger. The science is unequivocal. A high dietary intake of vitamin K-rich foods like spinach directly decreases the INR and fundamentally impedes the efficacy of warfarin. People on this medication often speak of the constant worry, the difficulty of staying within that narrow therapeutic window of 2 to 3, and the fear of what might happen if they stray too far in either direction. The problem is compounded by modern wellness culture. It's one thing to have a small side salad of spinach with dinner. It's another thing entirely to consume the vitamin K equivalent of several pounds of raw greens concentrated into a single smoothie. The solution for Mary, and for anyone on warfarin, is to understand that the superfood label is completely irrelevant to her situation. What matters, above all else, is stability. These foods are not forbidden, but they must be consumed with meticulous consistency and in consultation with her doctor. A food diary isn't just helpful, it can be a life-saving tool. And here we are, at number 1, the most deceptive, the most widespread, and arguably the most dangerous health vegetable on our list for seniors trying to prevent a stroke. It's the food that feels like a warm hug on a cold day. Let's think about David. He's 74, and he's been battling hypertension for years. His doctor gave him simple advice: eat a low-salt diet. So David goes to the store, and trying to do the right thing, he buys cans of vegetable soup. He starts eating it several times a week, but his blood pressure just won't come down. He feels defeated, frustrated, like he's failing at managing his health. But the truth is, David isn't failing. He has been betrayed by the label on the can. Let's break down the shocking reality with hard numbers. As we've established, the American Heart Association's ideal sodium limit for adults with high blood pressure is 1,500 milligrams per day. Now go to your pantry and pick up a can of a popular brand of soup. Read the nutrition facts panel. You will find that many contain 700, 800, or even over 1,000 milligrams of sodium in a single 1-cup serving. And let's be honest, most people eat the entire can as a single meal, which can push the sodium content well over 1,500 milligrams in one sitting. The damage this does is relentless. Remember the garden hose analogy from the American Heart Association? That massive, sudden influx of sodium from a bowl of soup forces your body to retain fluid, dramatically increasing the volume and pressure inside your blood vessels. When you do this day after day, that relentless pressure begins to injure the delicate lining of your arteries, accelerating the buildup of plaque. This is the direct physical process that leads to blocked arteries. But here is the most insidious part of the trap. Many well-intentioned people like David will see a can labeled reduced sodium and think they found the solution. This is a dangerous misconception. The term reduced sodium simply means the product has at least 25% less sodium than the company's regular version. But when the regular version is astronomically high to begin with, a 25% reduction is often meaningless. For example, one popular brand's reduced sodium vegetable soup still contains 530 milligrams per cup, which adds up to 880 milligrams for the whole can. That is still a massive sodium load. Reduced sodium does not mean low sodium. David's power and your power comes from ignoring the marketing claims on the front of the can and becoming a detective of the nutrition facts panel on the back. The solution is to look for soups that are explicitly labeled low sodium, which by law must contain 140 milligrams of sodium or less per serving. An even more powerful strategy is to make your own soup. It's easier than you think. Start with a truly low sodium or no salt added broth. Then you can add your own fresh or frozen vegetables, lean protein, and flavor it yourself with herbs and spices instead of salt. This single change, taking control of your soup, can be the most powerful step you take to finally get your blood pressure under control. All right, let's take a deep breath together. I know that was a lot of information, and some of it might have been surprising or even a little unsettling. But please remember, knowledge is not meant to create fear. It's meant to create power. We can boil everything we've discussed today down to 3 simple watch-out categories. Think of this as your new personalized stroke prevention blueprint for the grocery store. First, if you have high blood pressure or a family history of it, your primary focus is the sodium watch-out. Your mission is to become a label detective. You must read the nutrition facts panel on every canned good, soup, broth, and sauce. Your target is that ideal 1,500 milligram daily limit. Second, if you're one of the millions of Americans on Warfarin or a similar anticoagulant, your focus is the vitamin K watch-out. Your mission is consistency. You're the captain of a very steady ship, and you cannot have sudden changes in your cargo. And third, if you are managing your blood sugar, are pre-diabetic, or have type 2 diabetes, your focus is the glycemic load watch-out. Your mission is to be smart about starches. Your recipe for success is to bake, not fry. Look, the world of health advice can be confusing and, frankly, overwhelming. It can feel like every food has a hidden risk. But what we've done here today is replace that vague fear with specific facts. You are now in the driver's seat. You have the knowledge to walk into a grocery store and see past the misleading marketing on the front of the box and understand the truth on the back. This isn't about restriction. It's about making smart, informed choices. It's about taking back control of your health, one meal at a time, to ensure that your future is as healthy, vibrant, and independent as you absolutely deserve it to be. I truly want to hear from you. Of all the 9 vegetables and preparations we discussed today, which one surprised you the most? And based on your new blueprint, whether it's the sodium, vitamin K, or glycemic load watch-out, what is one small, simple change you feel empowered to make this week? Share your plan in the comments below. Reading your stories and commitments inspires our entire community and reminds us that we are all on this journey together. Thank you for investing your time today in understanding the science of stroke prevention. Remember, this journey is a marathon, not a sprint. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate the small wins and keep moving forward. You've got this. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.